7.NS.3. Let's look at these problems. How many times does 1/2 go into 1 1/4? Okay, so if you're confused on how to set this up, let's change these to easier numbers. How many times does 4 go into 8? Well, 4 goes into 8 twice, so 4 times 2 would be 8. So how many times does 1/2 go into 1 1/4? That's simply 1 1/4 divided by 1/2. We cannot divide mixed numbers, so we change this to an improper fraction. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5/4 divided by 1/2. And now we don't divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we can think of it as keep, change, flip. Because we're not dividing by this fraction, we're multiplying by the reciprocal. So 5/4 times 2/1. And we can simplify before, because I see a 2 and a 4. We can divide these both by 2 right now. This becomes a 1. This becomes a 2, which gives us 5/2. That's not here, so let's change this back to a mixed number. Drop the 5 in. 2 goes into 5 twice. That's 4 minus get 1. 2 does not go into 1, so you drag this up and it becomes the numerator. So number 1 is 2 1/2. 1 is D. Moving on to 2. Tamala's school day is 6 3/4 hours. She has 7 classes that are 3/4 hours long. How many hours is Tamala not in class while she is at school? Okay, so she's in school this long. She has 7 classes that are 3/4 hours long. So how long is she actually in class? Well, she has 7 classes. Each one is 3/4 of an hour. So one class would be 3/4. For 2 classes, you'd multiply this by 2. So we have 7 classes. So we're going to put 7/1. And when we multiply, we get 21/4. And we can make this a mixed number. 4 goes into 25 times, and we're left with 1/5. I'm sorry, 1/4. So this is how many hours she is in class. But she's at school for 6 hours, 6 3/4 hours. So here's the time at school, here's the time in class, so we need to subtract those. So 3 minus 1 is 2/4, and 6 minus 5 is 1. 1 2/4 is 1 1/2. So the answer to number 2 is A. Moving on to 3. This person is making a bookcase. The boards that are used to make the bookcase are 13/16 of an inch thick. He found a board that is 1 1/4 inches thick. By how much does Hez have to reduce the thickness of the new board to match the other boards? So really, we're just taking the new board. How much do we need to reduce that? So how much do we need to take away to get the distance, or to get how much he needs to cut off? So here we need to change this to an improper fraction. So we're going to multiply and add. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is just becomes 5/4 minus 13/16. And now when we're adding or subtracting fractions, we need to have a common denominator. The common denominator here would be 16. So you need to multiply the top and bottom here, both by 4. Let's just bring everything down. So this becomes 20, because 4 times 5 is 20, over 16 minus 13/16. We didn't need to do anything to this fraction. And now we'll simply subtract. The denominators will stay the same. 20 minus 13 is 7. So 7/16 is the difference between the size of the board and the size that it needs to be, so you need to cut off 7/16 of an inch. I'm sorry, so the answer would be A. 3 is A.